Okay, this morning I've got the wife's car all washed up. It's clean, it's dried, it's ready to be waxed. This will be my first time ever using the Turtle Wax Ceramic plus Graphene Paste Wax. Some complaints I've heard about it mainly were difficult to remove. Most of the time that's because you put it on too thick. And especially with paste waxes, too thick is not a good thing. And with modern waxes, they keep saying thinner is better. So for that reason, I'm not going to use the foam applicator that came in the box, except for areas that I don't reach with the buffer, because I also decided not to tape off the black plastic textured trim just to see what happens if I do get it on there, since Turtle Wax does not recommend using the paste wax on those areas. Now, the first question I'm sure you have is, how do I get the paste wax from the can onto the buffing pad? Well, how do you get butter from the tub onto a piece of bread? You use a knife. Well, a knife is okay, but it's got serrated edges, and that could damage a pad. A plastic knife is even worse because the serrations are even sharper. What you can do is what I did, is go to any hardware store or any hardware section of a big box store that sells any kind of putty or drywall repair kits, and get a pack of these. Come in 3 or 4 different sizes. They're flat, plastic, no real sharp edges to damage the foam pad on the polisher. And it works just like spreading butter or spreading plaster on a repair on the wall. What you do is you take the can, take the knife, and just kind of scrape it along the top and get a little bit of wax on it. Not much. Then you move over, spread it on the pad just like you would anything else. Use less than what you think you will need, which is what I'm going to do, because I have no idea how well this stuff spreads. If it spreads a lot, that means this might be too much. But that's all I'm going to start with. What I'm going to do is start with the hood, give it a few minutes, and then, without using the damp towel, dry towel method that they recommend for all their other sealants, I'm just going to take the microfiber that was provided in the box, this thing here, and try a dry removal. If that gives me problems, I'm going to go straight to a damp towel, dry towel. So give me a second to set up, and I'll bring you back. Okay, as you can see, I've got my machine polisher set just below 4, about 50%, because all I'm doing is spreading the wax on the car. I'm not trying to rub anything in. I'm not trying to correct anything. All I'm trying to do is get a nice, even, complete coat. Excuse the noise, but the buffer's kind of loud. Okay, turns out that was a very decent amount to use on the polisher pad. It completely covered the hood. It's very thin. You can see through it. And I'm going to give it a few minutes to dry. What I'm also going to do is come over here to that trim by the mirror, and I'm going to intentionally run the buffer over top of it. That is textured black plastic trim with a little bit of rubber on the edges, and I want to see and show exactly what happens if you thinly get it on the plastic by accident, on purpose, or whatever. I'm doing it on purpose just to see what happens. Okay, as you can see, I went over it at least twice. I don't see any white waxy buildup yet. It says give it about 5 minutes to dry before buffing it off. I'm not going to make you wait. I'm going to shut the camera off for a second, give it about 5 minutes. Try the dry removal on the hood, leaving it on the trim as long as possible, just to see what happens if I were to do the whole car all at once and then go around and remove it. Be back in a minute. Okay, it's been roughly 5 minutes. What I did while I was waiting is I added a little bit more wax to the buffer pad, not even as much as what I used on the hood, and I was able to get the entire side of the escape. The top rail, the entire quarter, both doors, fender, mirror, which there's also some textured trim on the mirror. It's kind of hard to see the layer of wax in the darker parts of the garage, so I'll bring you back here to where it's in direct sunlight, and I am testing that as well to see how it works in the sunlight. And you can see clearly that there's a thin, even coat of wax all over the car. You can barely see it, which is how it was most likely intended to be applied. So I'll bring you back over to the tripod. And this stuff spreads fantastically. It's one of the better spreading waxes I've seen, especially for a paste. Get you back in the tripod. Aim you at the hood. And now for the microfiber towel and the dry buff off. Let's see how this works. Okay, now that was super easy. You saw me flip the towel a few times. When the one side of the towel started to get a little bit loaded with dried wax, it would smear a little bit. Flip the towel, smearing gone. Let's see if I can get you off here and get a closer look. Nice gloss. There are still some smaller scratches in here. I didn't expect much of an improvement in gloss or anything, but I think there is just a little bit. And I believe that's due to the nature of paste waxes being a little bit thicker than their liquid or spray counterparts. Okay, now for the big question, the plastic trim. Now you saw me go over it a couple of times, so I'll put you back. Close in on the trim, and there is still no signs of white dried wax residue. None at all. So I'll zoom you back out, move the camera over here so you can see, and I will dry buff that. As you can see, no problems whatsoever. You can still see the wax on the A-pillar. Zoom in again. No traces at all of any wax residue. So it looks like, even though Turtle Wax recommends not getting it on there, if you do get it on there, and it's just a thin layer like it's supposed to be, it's not going to hurt a thing. It'll add a little bit of water resistance, stain resistance to the plastic. It didn't change its color. But like I said, the big thing, there is absolutely no white residue on that plastic, and I intentionally went directly over it with the buffer. I'm going to finish the car, take it out in the sun, and let you know the results, including the tailgate, which is in full sun right now at this moment. I'll be back. Okay, now before we go outside for the reveal, I just wanted to show you how much wax I used, or actually how much wax I didn't use. If you look, all that is a couple of scrapes off the surface. If I'd have tried to do this by hand, I probably would have used 3-4 times as much, which means this can, when used with a polisher, is going to last a long time, which really offsets the cost, which is more than probably buying a bottle of Flex Wax and ceramic spray coating at the same time. But because using a buffer requires so little, that completely blows away the cost per ounce or cost per coat of wax on the car. I did not have to use the hand applicator at all, since I found out that it will not mess up the black trim, at least on this car. Always try it on your own vehicle somewhere first, before you just assume that yours is going to be like mine and end up with a huge mess. Give me a few seconds. I'm going to pull the car out into the sun and do a final walk around. Okay, here we are, direct sunlight. Hides no flaws. Like I said, this is a daily driver. It does have some minor scratches and stuff in it. It is not perfect. It's over 10 years old. Has 74,000 miles now. sits out 24/7, rain, snow, hail, tornado, hurricane, whatever. Like I said, I did not believe that there was going to be much of a visual difference, but I think because of the paste wax and its properties, it is a little bit deeper. There's no denying the gloss or the shine or the reflection. And I think we can safely say that we've answered a few questions today. One, yes, a random orbital polisher is a valid way to apply the ceramic graphene paste wax. Puts it on extremely thin, uses an extremely little amount of wax. We can also say that anybody who has a hard time removing this has put it on way too thick. Way too thick. Probably used 3 or 4 times as much wax as they should have. It is a touch grabby when you first start to take the cured wax or the dried wax off the panel, but it's not unreasonable. And once you break through that first section, it's not bad at all. Now, I did do a final wipe on this with a clean dry towel once I removed all the wax to make sure I got all the residue. We're supposed to have thunderstorms tonight, and so maybe I'll get to see some water behavior. I don't think it's quite as slick immediately after removal as the flex wax or the ceramic spray coating, but it is slick. Well, let's see if some time and some cure will change that and make it slicker. Thanks for watching.